Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 and good morning to you all. I want to welcome you to Journey Through the Eyes, the EMDR podcast that is here to unveil and explore the transformative power of EMDR therapy. Here at Journey Through the Eyes, our mission is to support both new and seasoned clinicians with those powerful, I like to call it organic and critical conversations, and also share resources about EMDR therapy, building your incredible private practice, and so much more. I am one of your hosts. My name is Tamera J. Brown. I'm a licensed professional counselor and an EMDR consultant in training, and my practice is Arise Psychotherapy and Coaching Services. And I'm so excited to have with me my incredible best friend and colleague, Miss Kathy on the couch. Kathy, tell the folks about yourself.
Hello, people. It's Friday. Yay.
Yes.
I see those smiles. Oh my goodness. I am so happy to be here. I don't know why I just did that. I just felt the vibe. But yeah, Kathy on the couch here. Tamira joined us in. And I'm here with the Rewired 360. We have so much fun. I have so many good things coming up this week. So I've been working on a few different golden nuggets coming up. So we're so excited about our training. But today we do want to say this is an awesome moment for our guest today, Jen Richard. And she's in Hamilton, Montana, close to me in Idaho. We're going to definitely get together and work on some basic trainings. I had I don't know, like in Hotel Transylvania where they say we zinged, like we zinged. And the first time I met her, it was just, one of my people. And so I'm so happy to have my people here today. You guys are my peeps. And so Jen, I'll let her introduce herself too, but she brings a lot to the EMDR world. We want to celebrate her. She's a newly certified EMDR therapist through our
Congratulations.
university program. We're so excited for her and just thrilled to have her here. So I'll let her introduce herself a little bit.
Okay, well, hi everyone. My name is Jennifer Richard. As Kathy said, I am located in Hamilton, Montana. I have been doing EMDR now since 2023. So I guess in a sense, I'm a rookie, but not a rookie anymore. Yeah, I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor here for the state. I also do some telehealth work for the state of Idaho. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, today I just, being a rookie, I love that content. I know that you're a former police officer. I love the language. I like to let you say that when you're comfortable, but I'll kind of put that out there for you.
Yeah.
You bring a lot of really good perspectives. I think just your sarcasm and humor has been so fun. You're kind of dry, so you gotta like check in with you, like, no, that was a joke, Kathy. Oh, okay. And I just kind of wanted to talk about, the whole idea with the EMDR University program was to companion people along the journey. And so I've been doing this thing this week where we're like trying to figure out, is this a new product that we're bringing to the market? How do you fill the void people need? I'm sort of a loss orientation model when I'm sort of developing these products. So I'm like, what is, in that realm? And so I came up with the university program, and you're our third cohort, I believe. And you're a recent graduate there. And so I guess today, for people who may be considering basic training, maybe curious about EMDR, maybe we could talk about some myths and misconceptions, and then the EMDR certification path. So could you maybe start, Tamira, if you have anything, do you want to add? Is there anything else you'd like to kind of put on the table, Tamira?
No, I'm good. I think we're off to a good start.
Okay. So that's kind of, we allow these conversations to go wherever they need to go, just like we do in reprocessing. But can you just talk to us a little bit about, I know what my journey was when I heard of EMDR, and, Tamir and I have the same lived experience to where people were saying it was unattainable, you're not ready for doing that. Can you talk about what your journey was like and how it was like for you prior to that initial training?
Sure. So, as your gracious introduction was to my background, I am always looking for the non-traditional routes when it comes to therapy. So everybody's like, oh, CBT, DBT, MI, motivational interviewing, these are the routes. And I'm like, yeah, but what if they're not really calling to me? And so I heard about EMDR from a colleague and thought to myself, okay, so we do hypnosis. And they laughed and said, no, it's not hypnosis. It's actually something internal. It's on the inside. And I really like the way that they described how our brain does the work and the healing for us. As a former police officer and first responder, I think we get so rigid in our thought processes that we don't take time to look outside of the box. And this is a great opportunity for folks with military and first responder experience to not have to worry about being so rigid, but to look outside of the box and be able to adapt a new way of thinking, and one that not only promotes that new way of thinking, but also balancing it out with additional coping skills and support from the team as it is. So I just EMDR kind of called to me, and I really, really loved the process. I love how structured it is, because I know for me, I have what is it we call it, ADHD mindset, where I go one direction and then I go another direction, and sometimes it's hard for me to keep track of things. So this really allows me to keep track of things in a very structured way. But it also gives a little bit of freedom when it comes to like interweaves and doing things that you can kind of tweak to make it fit and personalize the client that you're with. And I really like that.
Wow, I loved all of what you shared, because I think that on one hand, as you begin to talk about EMDR, and sometimes people associate it either with just the bilateral movements, or they get like a little on their heels, is it woo woo, because they hear it's hypnotherapy, right? And I love Dr. Francine Shapiro. As she begins to talk about the different dimensions, because that's what you really brought to the table, and how EMDR is a beautiful tapestry of a blended set of therapy approaches that are really effective. And not only are they effective, the thing that I love that I think is such a sweet spot for us is how you leaned in and you talked about in other words, the fascination of the mind and the body. And I think so many of us, whether we are been in the field of, police work, just busy life. We could have been CEOs, where sometimes we do get in that rigid way of thinking, or just in that left brain logical way of thinking, and we lose touch with the experiential aspects of life. And I think that EMDR allows us to do that. It helps us to that left brain, right brain, right? Balance that our clients need and that we also need. The other thing that I think was beautiful about what you shared, and it spoke to me on Dr. Francine's heart for us as EMDR clinicians, was that we have a therapy that does provide us guidance, that does give that framework for us, because y'all know clients can come in and they got all kinds of things going on, and it's hard to put the pieces of a human being's life struggle, their story together. But EMDR helps us to kind of hone it all in, right? But we get to make the therapy model our own and make it flexible. So I think that's incredible. And thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I love the fact that even though the 8 phase model has those 8 phases, you still are allowed some grace with that. And what I mean by that is that if a client is with you on this journey and you're driving the bus with them and they start to veer into one direction, that's okay. That's okay, because we're always checking in with them. And I always look at it like that. It's okay to allow them to explore the direction that they need to go into, because when you check the SUDs, you bring them back to the original event, the original circumstances, and you're honoring their need to go into that different direction, but still allowing for focus of the initial concern that brought them forward.
I'm curious, when you're thinking about this idea of understanding EMDR, so you thought it was more like hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Let's, and I had heard, somebody had said, oh, it just is the same as these other modalities. And so when you're taking that journey and then you're coming in, even after your first weekend or first training, what did you notice? I guess I'll just do EMDR. How did you hold both of them together? How did what was that like for you? Like, this is the concept, this is sort of what the reality is, even conceptually, or even maybe after a few cases. When did you realize the magic?
Honestly, I realized the magic when we did it with our partners in the
Okay.
basic training class, because I'm more of a hands-on type of learner. So sitting there and listening and looking at slides and talking about the scripts, it was all like, yep, okay, got it, read the scripts, sure. But as soon as we got into our small groups and we practiced the techniques with each other, I had just in one brief session in practicing, I realized feelings and thoughts that I had never experienced before related to I have PTSD from work that I've done, and um, I didn't realize some of the emotions and feelings and thoughts that I had were really there. They were just under the surface. So that aha moment came when my partners led me through what it felt like to be a a client. And that's when that aha moment happened.
This is so cool because I got the opportunity to be your consultant at your training, and for me to see what we did in that experiential, to see how you're describing it now, is so cool, because first of all, we can talk clinically about the experience and all the things, which is cool because sometimes we can't do that with patients. And to see how you're describing the impact of that just makes me so grateful for the sacredness of the work, right? Like, oh my God, it's like the starfish story. Like, I helped that one, and it's like, to be a part of that is just breathtaking for me. I'm just grateful for that, to see that and to where you are and how you've grown. And the impact, right? I always say EMDR is an experience. You can have the books, we have the things. Tamera and I have been working really hard on sort of the models and mechanisms of action and the academic stuff. And also, Tamera is probably even better at this than I am, of bringing it down to earth, like the real people, we're the healers. And so I'm just really thankful for what you shared about the experience of EMDR. And that's just like the sticky factor.
Mhm. I think that, just listening to the journey, right? And the thing that I love about this journey of becoming an EMDR consultant is training, and being able to do this powerful podcast in an organic and a natural way is the opportunity we have to tell so many people who don't know about EMDR, from whether it's a potential client or a clinician who notices that line, right? Or, the traditional therapy, as Kathy was talking about, how we make that merge. Sometimes I think I would love to see us in the EMDR community do more talking about that learning curve. Because when Kathy mentioned what was that like, I did not really get in touch with the brilliancy, and I'm going to use this word, and hopefully, it'll land well. how divine. I tell Kathy, I say, Dr. Francine must have been on some spiritual portal. I don't know where that woman was when she discovered this therapy, because when you can do EMDR and literally transform 10 to 20 years of trauma and deep pain and get it out of a person's mind, out of their body, and dislodge the energy from them in an hour and a half session. I mean, oh my God. And then, so when I hear those conversations, right? Oh, it's like, EMDR is like all the other, what planet? Where did you go get training? You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. Or sometimes I think too, that learning curve, for some people who do go and they don't get in touch, they don't, because it is a lot. It's a lot to digest, it's a lot to process, but it's brilliancy. I mean, we really have the opportunity to witness very deep healing that lasts, in the stuff that folks are struggling with doesn't come back to haunt them, right? And so it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Another thing that I really love about the work we do is that I'm an instant gratification kind of person. So I really love hearing that even just an hour of time with somebody, when you hear that that distress level has gone from an 8 to a 1 or a 0 in just an hour of processing,
Yeah.
inside, I'm a very professional, but on the inside, I'm going, yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's not only that, it's that it's maintained,
it
right?
is.
I did a
Yeah,
lot of DBT, like in the session, they're like their anxiety, you could see it decrease. And you do the interpersonal effectiveness or the mindfulness skills, like you could see it decrease. Then they come back the next week in a different thing. And it's like, and this is what Tamera says to me, no, no. And it's like, dang, like it's affective stability for the long term.
it
And
is. And
yeah.
seeing a client smile, just seeing them smile is amazing, to know that the smile is genuine and they have found some peace from an event that has impacted them deeply. It's really cool.
I'll say this here. I know Tamir, you have want to pop in here, but this week in particular, what we're saying is really resonating. And I posted about it yesterday on my page, because it's like, when I hear people tell me, you've changed my life, you're a blessing. To harness my energy to affect that level of change, I've just been really overwhelmed with this week, because I know it. It's not just like oh yeah, no worries, happy to help. People say, I don't know, this isn't like egotistical thing, but like, I don't know what I would do without you. You always shift. You're always able. It's like, yes, and Tamir talks about you're the healer, and like to see that like healing transformation sustained, and to drop 60 years of trauma in a 3-hour intensive. It's like, dude, you've been carrying this for 60 years. Can you realize what we just did? Can you realize it? It's so cool.
You know, and I love this conversation. I love it, you know, because in my view, right, Journey Through the Eyes, we are a seed podcast, and we're doing podcasting. Our intention has always been to be natural, to be organic, and to get out of that performance and wanting to be illustrious and just really be ourselves. On top of that, holding space for what I think I would love to see more of, in holding space for the EMDR clinician or the therapist in general, because just as Kathy said, it's not about the ego. It's not serving the ego. Kathy and I talk a whole lot about shifting from, the clinical titles and being called therapists and all the licensures, and recognizing what is the essence beneath that. The essence is the healer. And in ancient times, we weren't known as clinicians. We weren't known. We were the healers. And so to know that I'm not just coming in a stoic, robotic fashion anymore with my pen and my notebook, but that I am now through this incredible therapy, because EMDR, if you haven't done your work, at some point in time, you're gonna have to do your work, right? Your own healing work. And so it unctions us to do our own work so that we can embody the essence of being the healer, to show up and really hold space for people's pain so that they can process it, so they can metabolize it, so they can heal from it, so they can grow, and to be able to know that our hands, and I'll go here with it, not only our hands are, but our therapeutic presence launches, sets the tone, activates all of that and so much more, is life-changing. Life-changing. It lets the therapist know in my book, or hopefully it will remind us of how important and how much we matter.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. Like, I mean, I think even myself, like I had no idea the magnitude of the ripple effect, right, in the brain and the psyche and the memories. Like Jen, I love the details, I love a structure. Um, but it's like every phase, it was like things I was already doing. I just didn't know how to like call it a phase, you know? And so I think it's just really amazing. I'm curious, Jen, kind of, can we play the tape through? So then you're here, you're a basic training, you have this experience. Walk me through sort of, the post consultation hours and then your decision to become certified, and what that process was like for you as you're kind of getting some more advanced skills and interventions as you're more committed to the model.
Well, full transparency, it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of facets needed in order to reach certain milestones in EMDR. And so I know there was times where Kathy, you and I would get together and you would look at me and go, "How are you doing?" And I'd go, "I'm fine." And you'd go, "Really? Are you really fine?"
And the thing,
No.
ADHD is you're processing all the stuff, and I'm thinking you're getting it because of your presentation, and then I was like, oh wait, she's not. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so there were times where you'd have to reel me back in, but that just shows the importance of making sure you have a group of EMDR professionals behind you that are there to back you up. They're your team, they're your tribe.
Yeah.
And so at first it was like, why do we have to go through all of this? Why do we have to have so many meetings? And now that I look back, it's like, that's why we have to have so many meetings and so many hours and so many clients, is because it can be overwhelming. And the process of, training and certification, you need that in order to be able to fully understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and where you want to go with it. Because I can tell you, Kathy, without having you and our meetings, I'd probably still be sitting there, doing that. And, you know, for someone like me, like you said, who doesn't really share if they're distressed, it's just a comfort to know that I don't have to let down guards that I have put up
Yeah.
if I want to.
Yeah.
And being able to build that relationship with you as my coach and my mentor, it allows me to trust in the process and trust you that you're providing the necessary information to be successful with clients in the future. So kudos to you on that.
Yeah, I do
Oh.
want to say, like, I am very aligned with you. Like, even though you call me a coach, a mentor, a leader, still I'm like really like right there with you in the trenches, right? And I think that's where I'll never not want to be. Those people say, you ever not want to see patients? I'm like, no, that's the magic, like, that's the fun stuff. And that's the exciting part, I think, for me, and I'm curious about this for you. For me, I was deciding to get certified because I was running into those cases. I had one of my most dissociative cases right out the gate, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try EMDR. So, for our audience, you go to your basic training, and then they say try, phases 1 through 3, 4 with your patients between the sessions, see how they go, and then you come back for a second set of 3 days. And so then we have 10 hours of consultation after that. And it was like, I tried it with that patient and it wasn't, basically doing what I thought it was going to do. And so then I had to seek certification for myself. I thought, well, if I'm going to be really doing this, if I'm really committed, I'm going to be certified. Same thing with the thanatology credential. Like if I'm going to specialize in grief, I'm really going to let patients know, like, I'm down, you know? And so what was it like for you, even Tamera, for you as well, you two, what was it like when you both decided, like, I'm going to get certified?
I have to piggyback off of Jen. It wasn't really until I met you. I had two other consultants I worked with. And when I first did the therapy, that transition again from being a talk therapist to an EMDR therapist was rough. Okay. And then my consultant, the first one, she was very just assertive and she encouraged us. She said, because I showed up like the weekend or right after however long that was, I was right in the consultation right away. And I was like curious, when I start practice? She said, now. She said, this therapy, the only way you're going to learn it is if you do it now. If you wait, you're going all it's gonna. And so, but I did not really get that sense of all the pieces because it's so much coming together until I met Kathy too, Jen. And then not only did the pieces start coming together, she's just such a loving human being. And for me, being a woman of color coming into the community, it was the first time I felt seen, heard, and validated that I had a right to be here. And that is what really made me go ahead on and say, you know what, I've done my work. I belong here in the community at the tables. And let me go ahead on and get certified because I have a right to be here. And so that was a part of my motivation on top of recognizing that in the brilliancy, and I hold space for this. I know it could kind of trigger folks, but in the brilliancy of all of the traditional talk therapy models, I done CBT, I did mindfulness CBT, I did the neuroscience-based CBT, I did trauma-informed CBT, and I was trying to find all the things to serve the clients, and they would do okay. And then 2 weeks later, they were back, and it was like, what? Okay, is it me or what is going on? And so it wasn't until I got into the incredible community of EMDR and started recognizing EMDR as a holistic model. So we're serving the whole person, right? And we're not leaving no crumbs on the table.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh gosh, it's beautiful. Yeah. So that was my motivation. Yeah. Wanting to make sure that when the clients came to me, that I was really able to help them to get the healing that they were desiring, they so deserve.
When I manifest this idea, right, I appreciate your celebration here, and I just want to say, like, um, this is all I'm going to go Simon Sinek here for a minute. And so Simon Sinek talks about the golden circle, and it's like you have your what, your how, and your why. And so, really, what you all are saying to me is, I connected with you because of my why. You guys can go to consultation, I can do my 10 hours, but I have the why, right? And so that's my commitment. Why are you doing it? So I can have what Tamir was saying, that sense of connection, that sense of community. I am seen, and the woman of color idea too is really important because even my experience, even among people that were Anglo-Saxon, it was like how do you become a trainer? Oh, it's not for you. It takes a lot of time. I had become from academia. I'd been teaching at university level, and it was like this unreachable thing. Not the same as what Tamera experienced, but the feelings can be equivalent. And so I think over time, it's like to have that access, like you can do this inclusivity. And also what I call the sticky factor is like, I've had consultation with people who are like, oh, what was your name again? Or what was your case again? No, that's what Tamira said. No, I know Tamira, I know her cases, I know where she's at generally. I mean, a few details, but or Jen, I know where she's at. I know generally what her process is. We set out a plan. This is what you need to work on. Because it connects with me as a human, right? And so that human part in clinician work is really important. What I would say is if you're seeking a clinician as a consultant, make sure they see you, right? If they don't see you, you can switch, because that was my experience. Was I didn't know if I could switch. The answers weren't quite there. Can you work with several consultants if it's not a good fit? It's just like finding a therapist, right? If you have that feeling in your gut that you can't disclose what you need to disclose about your learning, it's probably not a good fit. Now, just like Jen, she could say when she was safe and trusting some of the things, but she could also not say the things and it would still be okay, right? And so that's my kind of like mission, is how I transform like the patient care into the clinical consultation practice, to where it's like, let's just build safety, trust, recognition. Tamira really brings a lot of the holistic communication. I'm more of the analytical business side. And so we really have a good balance as a team. And so I just want to reflect that I needed her too, right? It's not just about me being the leader. Like, I need Jen to teach me all the things about this population. I need Tamira to teach me about all these things, and so if I can say, oh, I know Jen has this, I don't know about that, but I know where to find it. And that's sort of the beauty of the consultation program. I just did this with Tamira, and one of my consultees was saying, oh, I want to do this coaching school. I'm like, you know what? I don't know how to do that, but I know where to find it. Let's connect, have you join the sessions, and she can do all the things. Like, and I don't have to have all the answers, but just really all of that stuff is like, to be here today again is just so amazing, because it's like, my mind matters, my vision matters. This is the manifestation of it. You all are the product of an idea I had in May of 2023. It's like, oh, they're here. You're like dancing to the universe, like, yay, we did it. And so it's just been, the experience of emotions has been really what I would say is, have a good, positive emotional experience. If you're getting certified, find a team, a community that you can ask the questions to. And not just me, Jen can reach out to Tamira or Stephanie or whoever we have to say, hey, what's going on with this? And we're all there together.
Yeah, I think that you just pointed out so many beautiful nuggets, right, about just the community. And I think that when you ask about, or when we talk about just the journey, um, especially for folks who are coming into this incredible universe we call EMDR. And as Jen was saying, you need the consultations, you need the practice. You also need a consultant, and you need that support that sees you, that hears you, that validates you, that can hold that corrective, space and journey and help you to ride that learning curve in an incredible way. And I'm just excited. I'm grateful. And I hope that those who are listening, I also appreciate, Kathy, just how humble you are. You know, you have an incredible vision, and it's Rebecca Case talks about humility. I don't hear a lot of other clinicians talking about humility like she does. And I think that it's just a principle. I think it's a spiritual virtue that we all need to be reminded of, is that though our visions and dreams are coming to pass and we're connected and doing so many incredible things, that to be humble and to remember we need each other. There's no big I, little T's, and all the things. We have leaders, we have people who are more skilled, more seasoned, that can support those of us, dear, right, like you and I, who are coming along. Who are coming along and growing up and be taken under the wing. And then notice we also have gifts and things that we can add to the community. So I just think it's incredible. I really do.
And I also think we're setting that precedence for our clients as well, because when we tell them honesty, trust is built, and we tell them, that's a really good question. I'm really not sure the answer to that one, but you know what? I do know someone that has that information. So we're setting an example for our clients by asking and reaching out for help when we need it and being open and transparent when we don't have an answer to something. There's been times where I've had clients when I was in basic training and I was getting my feet wet, and they'd look at me and go, "Well, why do you do that?" And I go, "That's a really good question. I'm going to find out and I'll let you know next time." So by us getting consultation hours and group consultation, it's almost like we're looking at them going, well, I have my own therapist, I go for therapy, I see a therapist. And we also translate that into, I have a teacher, I have someone that I go to, I do consultation for this specific reason. And I like to hope that that also builds the confidence our clients have in us and the trust to do this process, because they know that we are also still learning with them.
It's like the what if, like, and I think Tamera really helps me with this too, as we're talking about our basic training, we're waiting on our application to get approved, we're reworking a few things. She says, keep it basic. Focus on the text. She has this beautiful book club that's just advancing even my knowledge of, like, I could read one sentence in there and meditate on it for days. It's like the divine download, it's like, what the is she saying? Like, holy cow. Like, and it's just line after line after line of this magic. And then Tamera, brings it out in the book club. And it's like, just keep the basics. So the basics, and I think this goes back to our cognitions, is enough. Oh, I'm not enough. So I have to include all the things, and even my basic training had all these adaptations. They say we're not supposed to adapt yet for complex trauma, for grief, for all, all the things, but they have all these protocols, and it's like, no, take it out, cut the shit, for better terms, make it lean so it sinks in, and I know even some trainings that I've done, I'm going to put all the things in. And it's like, we don't need to put the frills. We don't need to put the things. Just do the 8 phases, get them basic trained, get them the experience, right? Because I was like, am I not doing enough if I'm not looking at this? I call it advanced intervention, this, adaptation on the model. How do I integrate that? What is that? And that's what consultation is for, right? And so what I would say is, if you're having these questions, but ask your consultant in your individual and ask them where you can find more training. And so that's just how I'm going to take care of that. But also, like, we really need to sort of adhere to that basic foundational framework of the house, right? So we're doing the concrete, we're laying the foundation, right? And then we can build all the rooms later, make it as pretty as we want, the flowers on the outside, the trees in the yard. But like, that foundation is just so critical. Like, I didn't have to modify the basic training to say, I'm going to put a grief component in there, or dissociation or attachment wounds. Like, I don't have to do that. That's just, and I may have done that before in my life to feel like valid or differentiated. But for me, I already have that with the university. So it's like allowing me to like really focus on, this is this. If you want more advanced things, then you'll get certified. And even from the patient perspective, I've had so many patients come to me and say, yes, I've done EMDR before. Okay, tell me about that. Well, they just did the safe place in the container and I got upset and it really didn't work. So we never went back to it. It's like, that's why we need to be certified, is because so we can make the patients advance their care. So in Twin Falls, which is where I live, we had 5 years ago, a training that trained a lot of providers, and those providers just let that fall off, or put another tool in the toolbox as another training. This is not that. And so to give them the consultation and the opportunity to advance the skill level can really do things like decrease suicidal ideation. In Idaho, we have the state, or one of the states with the highest suicide rate. So we can combat mental health, stigma, anxiety, depression with this amazing therapy. And that's, if we can go through and say, you don't have to go through years of therapy. Find an EMDR therapist that's really good. If you're a patient listening to this, ask them if they've been trained and if they're certified or what other practices they have, because that's important for you to know. And we don't want you to have a bad experience or a bad taste in your mouth because it was just a training to someone and not, I guess it's a lifestyle, right? Not everyone's going to have the lifestyle, but we want patients to really have the whole experience of what it could be, right?
I think that's so important. And Kathy, you kind of are segueing us to wrapping up our conversation for today. But I think you said so many incredible things that really did take me back to chapter 1 of our foundational book. I call it the EMDR Bible with Dr. Francine Shapiro, the basic principles, protocols, and procedures. And Dr. Francine, number one, she put emphasis on appropriate training. I mean, she put emphasis on saying you need to make sure you have valid and appropriate training in this therapy. Why? Because you are doing some really serious deep work. And on this journey, more than any other time, that radar for safety, support, and ethical, not philosophical, ethical care needs to be at the forefront of what we're doing. And I say this because I had a conversation with the clinician, and oh my God, it made my flesh crawl. And she said, yeah, I was doing some EMDR with the client, but we didn't finish. What does that mean? How do you do? I don't understand. Right. Okay. Because in the context of what she was saying was as if, we started a little bit, but I just, went on. We just did something else. There's a lot going on. But I think that when we can get our footing, and whether we're new or seasoned, I'm one of these people, like Jen said, remember you're a student. Remember, we are all students on this healing journey. And there's so much we know and so much we don't know. And that's that sweet spot of humility. But I just think having that foundation and understanding the basics is what helps us to hone the vehicle of EMDR so we can expand it, flex it, and it just unmask its incredible potential, right? Because there's so much to it. But I just wanted to, put a pin in that point. Yeah.
A quick question for y'all. So Tamera, you're a consultant in training now, and Jen is in our consultation program now. If you were to give her a piece of advice about the transition from being certified to being a consultant, and because it's a mind shift, how do you describe that to her?
It's a big deal, right? When you begin to recognize you are now moving from um, being a therapist to now being able to not only help the client, but also help the professionals. Um, it's incredible, you know, because I know for me, my heart is because of the journey and because of what I experienced coming into the EMDR universe, I wasn't welcomed. I was told it was too much and too expensive for me. And so wanting to not only help the clients we serve, but then you now get to experience helping to prepare other clinicians on the journey. And so the advice I would give is take your time, you know, um, in my view, I would say do yourself a favor in not just doing lots of the online or in-person training, chew the books, invest time and just take your time because the wisdom, the brilliancy, and of everything that we're doing from one client session and the wisdoms that happen in there, just taking your time and be present with it and then, pour that out. Yeah.
Jen, what would you like to say about your transition from deciding to be certified to be a consultant? We'll have this one last question before we wrap up.
I think that making this transition is something I never knew I needed in my career until the opportunity presented itself. And if you have a passion for bringing a positive message to clinicians, then seriously consider getting your certification and going for just grabbing the bull by the horns and just doing it. Because I have always wanted to teach people. It's something that I really enjoy doing. And I feel like moving forward into the consultant and training program will allow me to do what I want to do while also continuing to improve my skills and keeping me on my toes. And I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
I did just want to celebrate you. Jen is very awesome. She's licensed in Montana and Idaho. She just has her new little private practice office. So she just launched that. And so kudos to you for all the good things that you're doing. It's so wonderful to have your space and to be committed and to have your healing space. It takes a lot of time sometimes for private practice providers to realize like we are the asset. And so I just celebrate you. We are when we decide 5 or 8 hours away, you always know this. 5,
6.
6 hours, neither hours away. And Tamera is like, days away from me in Texas. So we'll get there though, girl. And just this opportunity here to network in our states where rural mental health is, really needed is important. So I celebrate you. And we do have our next certification and consultation program starting next January. We're just launching here. We have our grief training with grief and loss targets in October and our documentation training in November. And then we have our free grief webinar today at 11. So I'll turn this over to Tamera and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, we are so grateful, so thankful to have you here with us, Jen. Tell the folks where they can reach out to you before we surrender you to your Friday.
Absolutely. So my website is helpmegen.com. And on there, you'll be able to contact me via either email directly, or it has phone number information that you can reach out to me that way as well.
Awesome. So you all heard it. You can visit the website. We just want to thank you for being here with Journey Through the Eyes. And again, we are here to inform, inspire, and ignite the passion for EMDR therapy and so much more. You can find our podcast at Rewire 360 or visit our YouTube page. Just know we are part of a community that is dedicated to facilitating healing, growth, and transformation for clients and clinicians. And we will see you all next Friday. Have an incredible weekend.
All right, guys, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.